by both President Bush and reappointed by President Obama. And he is a graduate of Stanford University. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Well, thank you for the invitation. EEI is the trade association for the investor-owned utilities in this country, electric companies. We also, although I'm not speaking for them, work very closely with the American Public Power Association and the National Rural Electric Association as well. What I'm going to talk about today essentially is grid visibility, grid cybersecurity, and some thoughts on data specifically. Under the Federal Power Act, for those of you who don't follow this very closely, regulation of the bulk power system, kind of the wholesale system, is done by the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, where I used to serve. The regulation of the retail side of it, particularly the distribution grid and the sales of that, is delegated to state public utility commissions, like Chairman Morose's commission in New Jersey. This is important to recognize as we look about not only where the grid is going, but how it's being regulated. In terms of visibility of the grid, if you ever were to go to, and I hope you would, a bulk power system wholesale control center, there are several throughout the country that run big markets or big utilities that run their own market, you'll see amazing visibility into the system. You'll see the transmission grid in real time, where there's congestion, where there's less congestion, lines that are out, and sometimes you'll actually see real-time prices on 5-minute intervals in terms of the actual value of power. Very dynamic, very visible. I think it's really cool. I suggest that you go see something like this. However, at the distribution system, again regulated by states, very rarely do we have that same kind of visibility. And we frankly are going to need it going forward, because as even our opening speaker pointed out, this is a very exciting and dynamic time in the industry. We now have 70 million smart meters out there. We have more smart meters in homes than people have dogs. And so what's so transformative about this, because it's happened really only in the last 10 years, as other speakers have articulated, this is now a two-way system. That's really good for customers. It's cool. It allows a lot of new technologies and applications so that people can use their energy in more ways that they can control. It's two-way now. It used to be one-way. It's not just two-way information flow. As another speaker noted, actually now customers can generate their own power and send it back into the grid. A grid that was really never designed necessarily for two-way power flows. It's still doable. Of course, we've got some issues on how much they're paid in terms of rates, but nevertheless, it's an exciting time in this industry. But what we're really going to need to make sure that it is developed to its full potential is frankly a lot more investment into the distribution grid so that we can have the visibility to see particularly, for instance, how distributed energy resources are being managed, if the clouds are going over, how the system can respond to a sudden drop in solar production. This is all doable, but it does take investment. The second area I want to talk about was specific to grid cybersecurity. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Again, it's bifurcated under the Federal Power Act between FERC and and state regulatory agencies. So with the bulk power system, we actually have a very vibrant cybersecurity system going on. The standards are set up by NERC. They are either approved or rejected by FERC. And again, these are cybersecurity standards at the bulk power system, roughly 100 kilovolts and above. We also have a very vibrant program, public partnership through the Electric Subsector Coordinating Council, where our entire industry works with particularly the Department of Energy and the Department of Homeland Security to regularly update certain threats from a cyber perspective to the grid. It is, we would say, working very well. It's an evolving issue. The threats are evolving, so we have to be ready to counter those and to deal with them. But it is in place. And finally, we have an agreement that's only been set up in the last year or so called Cyber Mutual Assistance that has over 100 utilities from all sectors involved. It's kind of based on storm response mutual assistance, where you agree that if if your neighbor is subject to storm, you will, some type of storm event, you will share your resources, and in turn, if you are affected, they will share theirs. So we're setting up a cyber version of this, which again is very exciting, much different, but very important. The challenge, though, as Chairman Moreau said, is that at the national level, and I'm not saying we should have them, we don't have the same cybersecurity standards at the distribution level. New Jersey has been a true leader in asking for their utilities to come forward with a plan to actually assure that they have it. But we have a patchwork of states and how they're dealing with cyber at the distribution level, which is a public policy issue we need to continue to work on so that we don't have the vulnerability. It goes back to something Sarah said, our second speaker. With the Internet of Things, reportedly 2 million devices a day with their own specific internet address being added to the grid. 2 million a day. Reportedly, 70% of them have default passwords. That makes malware and hacking much more of a vulnerability as we go forward. Finally, specific to data, we believe that our customers definitely should have access to their usage data. And they should have their discretion to allow third-party access to it. But that third-party initiatives and other ideas can help toward that. But again, more customer data, the fact that they have access to it, along with the investments in the grid and the assurances of cyber reliability standards at the distribution level, will lead us to a place where things we can't even think of that will make customers happy and use energy more efficiency, but it must be done in a thoughtful way. Thank you again for inviting me.